This is FOTONICA, a 2014 abstract platforming game made by Santa Ragione, where you are effectively in a high-speed side-scrolling platformer, but played from a first-person perspective. The design is quite abstract, and you have 6 different ways of viewing each level. This is flat, complex. This is flat, pure. This is fluid, complex. This is fluid, pure. This is vector, complex. This is vector, pure, with the running hands being optional. I prefer the flat quality, as it makes the ledges easier to see than in the line drawings. I choose to have the complex skin on to make it easier to differentiate different parts of the level. The menus are navigable using the up and down arrow keys, or W and S. Confirmation is done with space or enter. Controls are quite simple. You hold any button to run or to descend quickly, and release it to jump. There is an alternative control scheme called Atomic, where you run by default, press any button to jump, and release it to end the jump and start descending quickly. However, these are equivalent in voice recognition, because switching from pressed to not pressed and back is the same as switching from not pressed to pressed and back. The state of your key presses only changes on a voice command, and you'd be using the same voice commands for jumping and descending. As you run through each level, assuming you haven't fallen or bumped into a platform, you speed up. This presents a cognitive challenge, because your voice commands will take around 0.6 seconds to be enacted. So you'll be used to saying them a set amount of time before the edges early in the level, but then you need to start saying them slightly earlier later in the level. One option that helps with this is the input delay, which when set to -20 seems to give you a little bit of coyote time at the end of each ledge, so you don't fall off as often. There are no maps available of any levels, in-game or online, so you are supposed to go on through, lose lots of times, and incrementally figure out a route through each level that works for you. This is quite enjoyable at first, however the levels start getting more complicated after the first few, making it more tense and stressful. For tighter jumps I even found myself sitting up straight in order to better see the next platform. There are times when you need to descend towards a short platform and jump off it as soon as possible, which requires tricky timing so that your button is released during the very short time you're on that platform. If that goes wrong, then your button would be released just as you were falling, and on your next platform you won't be running, and therefore can't jump. So having tried to jump, you need to run then jump to make it happen on a third command. And even when you adapt to that, the game starts tricking you by having you jump at a good speed expecting to clear a long distance, but actually you were supposed to jump a short distance, land on a very short platform, which you couldn't really see when first jumping, and jump off that one. If you didn't do that at all or timed your descent wrong, you just lose and go back to the start of the level. I think that the cognitive load of doing all the precise timing with voice commands makes it really hard to memorize the levels and remember what needs to be done at each point. So with voice recognition as an interface, this game is just a bit too difficult. But if slowed down with Cheat Engine, it might become more doable, and I'll revisit that in another video. Here is some gameplay of me going through the first 4 levels at the slowest speed. Up to... Yes. Yes. Run. Jump. Run. Jump. Run. Jump. Run. Jump. Run. Jump. Run. Jump. Run. Run. jump, run, jump, run, jump, run, jump, run, jump, run, jump, run, jump, jump, down 3, yes, run, jump, 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 down 3, yes, jump, run, 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 jump. I got that last jump. Down 1, down 2, yes, run, jump, 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 Run. Jump. 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 Doesn't help that I hold my breath. Down 3. Yes.